dedication of merit. These 8 verses may seem simple for beginners or those who don't focus on spiritual practice. However, for genuine practitioners, even practicing just one verse is significant. In fact, even if you devote your entire life to practicing just one or half a verse, you can attain accomplishment. Indeed, even if you spend your whole life practicing only one verse, but successfully live it out, you will achieve enlightenment. On the other hand, even if you understand 84,000 teachings of the Dharma and the 12 divisions of scriptures in the Tripitaka, but don't put them into practice, it won't benefit your mind. Even if you comprehend all Dharma teachings, you may not benefit. Why is that? Because despite knowing them, you haven't practiced and embodied them in your mind. Those present in our Dharma hall have various faculties. Some have greatly benefited from listening to this course. Some only receive a lineage transmission. Some may feel indifferent, and some cannot absorb it at all. Now that we have obtained a precious human life and encountered such profound teachings, we should earnestly practice the 8 verses for training the mind. In the end, let's dedicate all the merits generated from imparting and learning this course to all sentient beings. May all sentient beings swiftly obtain human life, learn the Dharma, and attain liberation and Buddhahood. The last verse is, I shall learn to keep all these practices untainted by thoughts of the 8 worldly concerns. May I recognize all things as illusions and be free from bondage without attachment. All things are like dreams and illusions. You should read the Diamond Sutra more often. All conditioned phenomena are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, a shadow. Like dew or a flash of lightning, we shall perceive them in this way. Some great masters focus on practicing this verse, contemplating all phenomena as dreamlike and illusory throughout their lives. When you start this practice, you may feel that you haven't aroused a firm conviction. That's okay. You can first cultivate no self in person. Eliminate the attachment to self in person first, and then deal with the attachment to self in phenomena. Actually, it is not very difficult to view everything as illusory. If we start by reflecting on subtle impermanence, it will be easy. First, meditate on how all phenomena arise and cease moment by moment. Then, contemplate that all phenomena neither arise from themselves nor from others. So, where do they come from? Who creates them? How do they come into being? Is there a birth? As Nagarjuna explained, all phenomena don't arise from themselves, nor are they created by other phenomena, as they too cannot produce anything. All phenomena arise and cease at each moment, so they cannot give rise to anything. They are not created by other phenomena, nor do they arise from themselves, as no self can be found. In summary, phenomena neither arise from themselves, from others, nor from the collaboration of self and others. Therefore, all phenomena have never arisen. Everything appears to have a birth, but it is an illusory birth, essentially no birth. For example, in a movie, a woman gives birth to a baby, but did a real baby come into existence? It is just an illusion, not an actual childbirth. Similarly, if you dream that your mother gives birth to a younger brother, it is also an illusion because when you wake up, he is gone. This principle applies to all phenomena. When you are awakened, you will realize that nothing has been born. Everything merely arises and ceases in an illusory manner. All phenomena have never arisen, so there is no cessation. Subtle impermanence on a conventional level means that everything appears to arise and cease within the same moment. Everything seems to arise and cease moment by moment, so it is an illusory birth. Upon deeper contemplation, you will realize that they have never truly arisen. Momentary arising and ceasing is only an observation in terms of appearances. Ultimately, all phenomena have never truly arisen, so there is no need to cling to them. We tend to believe that everything comes and goes, which leads us to perceive ourselves, sentient beings, and all phenomena as real. As a result, we remain trapped in the cyclic existence. Okay, we have briefly learned the 8 verses for training the mind. We need to practice each verse earnestly. Verse 1. Always cherish others with loving kindness. I shall see all sentient beings as more precious than a wish-fulfilling gem. To accomplish their ultimate benefit, I vow to cherish them with loving kindness at all times. You should view the person you dislike as a wish-fulfilling gem and cultivate great compassion towards them. Verse 2. Consider myself inferior to others. Whenever I am in the company of others, I shall consider myself inferior to them. From the depths of my heart, I shall think of benefiting them and always honour them as supreme. When you begin to free yourself from the 8 worldly concerns, you truly embark on the path to liberation. What will you be like? You will be detached from society. Ordinary beings are social creatures and cannot survive without others. Living a solitary life can lead to feelings of panic, anxiety, and fear. This is particularly true for women. They may find it hard to be alone and feel anxiety when isolated from others. Those who practice the path to liberation and the Bodhisattva path must undergo such a phase. Learn to stay with yourself and be a liberated individual before embarking on the Bodhisattva path. Otherwise, you are still a social being, not a Bodhisattva. To practice the path to liberation, first and foremost, you should be able to detach yourself from society. Spiritual liberation requires a mind detached and independent from anyone else. To transcend the 3 realms, you must sever emotional attachments to all sentient beings. Then, when you return to this world to benefit sentient beings, you won't emotionally cling to any of them. At that point, you are no longer a human. Thus, you won't form emotional attachments to humans. This is similar to the fact that since you are not a dog, you won't be emotionally entangled with dogs, right? The principle is quite simple. When practicing the path to liberation, you should not see yourself as a human being. You should treat all beings in samsara equally. There is no inherent difference between humans and dogs. Transcend attachment to all samsaric beings. Don't cling to anyone, including yourself. Yourself is also an impure container. By recognizing this, you will no longer cling to yourself. Only in this way can you attain liberation. We should eradicate emotional attachment, and the most ingrained one is self-grasping, the attachment to ourselves. As practitioners, we may sometimes seem cold-blooded. To free ourselves from emotional attachments, we must first sever attachment to all sentient beings, including ourselves. This is essential for anyone on the path to liberation. During this stage, we need to maintain this state for a while to achieve liberation. By cutting off emotional clinging to all sentient beings, we will naturally eliminate the attachment to ourselves. As we can see, ordinary beings constantly seek and maintain relationships with others due to fear and a lack of courage to be alone. We always try to protect our connections with others, fearing losing them. We desperately seek to bind ourselves to others and are afraid to detach from them. This tendency is particularly evident in women. They tend to rely on others, otherwise they may feel insecure. Similarly, children cry when they cannot find their mothers. This is the mindset of sentient beings. Adults are slightly braver than children and may not cry. They will seek someone to rely on. This is a stage that everyone on the path to liberation must go through. Only when you are spiritually independent can you begin to practice the Bodhisattva path. Verse 3. Stop afflictions as soon as they arise. In my every action I shall watch my mind. The moment an affliction arises, about to harm myself and others, I shall confront and stop it without delay. If we don't uproot emotional attachment, our bodhicitta may become clingy and impure. Therefore, we should generate a pure bodhicitta without defilement. Verse 4. May I cherish this precious treasure. Whenever I see evil beings who are overwhelmed by heavy sins or suffering, I shall cherish them as something rare, as if I have found a precious treasure. Verse 5. Take loss and defeat upon myself. Whenever someone, out of envy, does me wrong by attacking or slandering me, I shall take loss and defeat upon myself and give gain and victory to others. Verse 6. View those who harm me as spiritual teachers. Even when someone I have helped and placed great hopes in mistreats me unjustly, I shall view them as a spiritual teacher. Verse 7. Secretly take others' sufferings upon myself. Whether directly or indirectly, I shall offer help and happiness to all my mothers, and secretly take upon myself all their pains and suffering. Verse 8. All things are like illusions. I shall learn to keep all these practices untainted by thoughts of the 8 worldly concerns. May I recognize all things as illusions and be free from bondage without attachment. I encourage you to meditate on this text verse by verse. After practicing for 6 months or a year, you will see progress. Please practice earnestly so that you can achieve spiritual accomplishments sooner and benefit sentient beings earlier. You often let your karmic habits grow without addressing them, and the root cause of this is a lack of faith. If your faith is strong enough, there is nothing difficult. You should remind yourself, if my teacher can do it, so can I. Since my teacher is doing it, I shall do my best. Isn't that effective? It's not as difficult as it may seem. That's why we need to practice guru devotion. When you find it hard to do something, you can ponder, how does my guru do it? I shall do it in the same way. When faced with a problem, you can think, how would my guru handle this? I shall handle it in the same way. How would great masters react? I shall react in the same way. The great masters have taught us how to practice, and we should follow their teachings. Spiritual practice is simple. There is nothing mysterious or difficult, but you may not have devoted yourself to it.